Hi everyone, it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. Today I am creating a fun layout using a cut file from the Cut Shop and Ashley Horton. This is the Starry Skies cut file. It is one of her free ones that she has on her website. I am going to pair this cut file today with a kit from Clique International. It is the American Craft Sampler Kit from Heidi Swapp Sunchaser. And I am documenting 2 photos of my son who had recently started roping lessons, and they were 2 pictures that I absolutely loved, and there was a title in this which just inspired the whole layout altogether. But what I'm going to do is take a few minutes and back this cut file. I am not going to video the whole entire process just because it does take quite some time. This is the bulk of the layout, so it takes a bit. But I do use this Starry Night cut file, and I will back all of the stars with the exception of the 2 that my photos cover. When I back my cut files, I like to use the Tombow mono multi glue. I like this glue for cut files because when I use very little of it, and whenever it dries, if I don't get it on there quick enough, it remains tacky, so it still sticks even if the glue dries a little bit. So I am going to use a few pieces of pattern paper, and I am going to vary the different placements of those pattern papers. So I'm going to try to scatter the different patterns throughout and change up their sizes, change up their placements, and I do pull in a mixture of pinks, some teals with teal stars, and some golds, and I do use the white and black polka dot papers. The lighter colors I left for the bigger stars, and then the darker colors like the teals and the golds I used on the smaller stars. So there it is. That's all, the whole file there is backed and put together. For my background, I did choose to use this ledger paper, and I chose it primarily because of that border on the left and the bottom. The bottom of it is the branding strip, so it's made to actually cut off. But I did not cut it off. I left it on. I loved how it gave it this grounding effect for the cut file. So I just left everything on there. I am going to pop this up on foam adhesive, so I am going to cut up a sheet of single-sided adhesive foam. I think I said that right. And layer it across the whole back, and then just glue the entire cut file straight down onto my paper. The star there in that center right, I did not back it. That's where my photo is going to go, so I really didn't bother putting it down since I knew that it was going to be covered. I did have a little bit of a catastrophe there with the smaller one right below it. I had actually backed it with some yellow paper and picked the wrong star, and when I peeled it off, it took part of the cut file with it. But that's okay because luckily it was one of the stars that is going to be covered anyways. So thank goodness that worked out to the best. I do add my photos on top. I do have to put some of it up on foam so that it comes up to the same plane as my cut files, and then the other parts of it that I will just go ahead and glue straight down on top of that cut file. After I weighted that down so that it does stay, I went ahead and started with my embellishing, and this is where I always seem to take the longest with my embellishing because I can never decide what I want to use, where I want to put it, and what I tend to do is go with a lot of textures and layers. So I do pull out a clip, a piece of twine, and I use that twine because it was the same color of the rope that my son was using, but I end up using it for on tags, and it still works out great. But this is where I really do fuss a lot because I am always so indecisive when it comes to choosing these, and I feel like sometimes I go too far and then I back off, but then it's too plain, so I add again, and yeah. So this is me just kind of going through the motions of what is working for me, what doesn't. I put things down. A lot of, like the tiger on the right there, it looks really cute, but it doesn't stay in the end. The true story up at the top will stay. I know I don't have a spot yet for my journaling, so I'm going to try to create something here on the bottom left. Since that larger pink star really stood out, I felt that that was a good grounding place to add something with my journaling. So I felt that I would go ahead and try to add in another tag over here, since I was going to put one on the right there. I did pull out that on the agenda because it looked nice. It incorporated with the ledger in the background and brought it to the foreground. But I end up using the piece up at the top there that's black and white, and it says note to self. I will pull that in and use that for the journaling instead. So before I get any further into this, I thought, well, I need to add my title, because I know my title, what I wanted it to be. And I like the set of puffy stickers, because when Heidi does this, I feel like she designs titles for us, but she also gives us words that mix together. And that's exactly what I did for this one. My title for this is going to be Dream Catcher. I do like the Dream Chaser, I'm sorry. I do like the Sun Chaser there, and I had thought about using that on another spread, but Dream Chaser just fits this to a T, and fits my sun to a T, so I had to use it for this one. So my title for this will be Dream Chaser, and I do add those words at the bottom of the two photos. I do try to fit that little tiger back in there, but he doesn't work, so this is where he makes his disappearance. I try to add in this little note to self, because I realize this is where I want to do my journaling, and that's where I decide to do that swap out and take that on the agenda piece off. For this tag, it says joyful. This is where I pull in some of that twine, and then I do actually readjust it here in a minute to snip a bit of it off, because there is another piece that I am going to add on to another smaller tag. So I tried to audition a bunch of other different larger words, and I felt that it just took away from my title, so I opted to use those and just to save them for another spread. So this is where I'm going to trim down that twine, refix the joyful tag that's on there, and then I'm going to add the other bit of that twine to the gold tag that is under my photo there that says Sunshine Vibes. And then that tag will end up living underneath the word Chaser in my title. I do have to pop a piece of it up there on the right hand side. I add some foam behind it, and that's just because my star cut file there is up on a layer of that foam, so part of it was touching it and part of it wasn't. So to give it some stability, I did add some foam adhesive underneath that. So I'm still, yet again, going through and playing with some of the embellishments. I left some out on the side there. Her ephemera pack has several pieces of star ephemera in it, and because I already had this star theme going, I wanted to try to use up several of those pieces in the ephemera pack. I do end up using a couple of them, but I don't end up using all of them. I didn't think that there was some gold foiled, not gold, like a rose gold foil or a pink foiled pieces in there. Those ones I actually set aside. I have an idea for another spread for those, so I'm going to hold off on those for right now. But I do use this piece here, and there is another, like a darker pink burgundy star that I will eventually keep there underneath that joyful tag as well. So I keep trying to add in different layers and different pieces, and it just wasn't working. It became too much, I think, because there was already so much going on with the backed cut file itself and so much pattern, and it was very busy. So I really didn't add much more embellishing other than what you're seeing here, except for a few other bits. But what I am doing is going through my freckled fawn label stash that I have, and I found a teal mint, well, it's more of a mint green, that matches this collection perfectly. So I am going to use that for my date. And then I will actually trim it down so it fits a little bit better, and that tag with a date will end up living right underneath the word dream. At the end, I do realize that up at the top right hand corner of this layout, it does have like a block, like a fill-in space. It says sheet number on the top line, date and location. I do end up filling that out too in the very end and put the date again up there. I know it's kind of like a repetition thing and it's a duplicate, but it doesn't bother me. I felt like it needed to be filled in since it looked blank and empty to me. So I do, even though the date is down below, I do add it again up above at the end, and I still think that it looks great. So this little button I wanted to use, it says hip hip hooray. It's lived in my stash forever. I honestly have no idea where it came from, but I know that I wanted to get it out of my storage drawers and onto a page, so I do use it. I do kind of fuss around and try to figure out where I want it. It does not land there in the end. It will move. But before I got any further, I knew I wanted these pink stars I had in my stash from Bramble Fox, and I knew I wanted to use them because, again, they were another repetition of the same star pattern that I was already using. The colored pink matched perfectly with the collection, so I wanted to get these on my page also. As I put these around, I use the larger stars, which are hollow, and then I do use the smaller ones as well, but in the very end I actually pull the star outlines, the larger ones, off, but I do keep the small solid ones on there. I totally forgot about the puffy stickers that were on Heidi's in Heidi's Word in the title builder package that I got the Dream Chaser from. So they had the colors in there of the gold and the blue and the burgundy. So I decided to use those instead of the larger outline hearts. There were a couple puffy stickers from this Studio Calico sticker sheet that I wanted to try to get in there. The guitar, a pink hat. It didn't work. The pink doesn't really match too much to me. So I skipped that altogether. But I did use those two stars with the rainbows attached on the left and the right hand side there, and I think that those were the perfect little touch to add to this. And they were pointing in the right direction, and with the title and the journaling that I did, it was absolutely perfect. So my button there is going to live on the bottom. I do put some tangled twine underneath of it, and then I'm going to go ahead and adhere my left cluster together. And I'll add my journaling on that note to self off camera. I didn't stick it down at this point because I wanted to pull it off of my page so I had a flat surface to work on. So in the close-ups in the end, you will actually see my journaling on there. And this is the point where I'm going to go ahead and add in a couple little details in this box up at the top right, and then I'm going to call my layout done. Stay tuned for the close-up photos. That way you can see how the stars ended up on my page. If you're new to my channel, I hope to see you to subscribe and to click that bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a project. And until next time, thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you have a wonderful day and a great week. Bye.